Yo, what's up, fam? It's your boy Mondo. Just coming at you on Saturday night, just getting back from my walk. Feeling real good, feeling blessed that I had the chance to wake up this morning. That the Most High woke me up this morning. And hey, let me just dive right into it because it's going to be kind of lengthy, so we'll keep it short as possible. But hey, it is what it is. Today I'm going to talk about why most women in the church will never find a husband and never find a man. I'm gonna be uncovering three major reasons why, and try to give the best solution as possible. Okay, the first thing that I want to talk about is when women are looking at their pastors, because that's where it starts. They're basically looking for men of power and authority. Okay, they are looking at the pastor in his robe, and he's just gleaming. The church surroundings are making him look more exalted. He just looks powerful. Okay, first of all, God is not interested in power or authority. Because when you think of power, you think of an unseen force that makes things happen. Okay? When you think of authority, you think of a person or thing or any type of influence that's charismatic and it can influence you to do certain things. Okay? And now power, to me, is associated with another word, money. Authority is associated with, like I said, having the power to convince. Okay, both you can scratch both those words out when you're looking for a man because the reason why God is not interested in power or authority is because God gives you free will. Well, you might say, okay, that's showing power if he say cures people from cancer, which I personally know people who have been um, cured from delivered from cancer by prayer. Okay, and the thing is, in God's book of life, He might not have your name on it yet. That's will. That's not Him using power. So He's not taking the cancer away from you. He is taking you away from the cancer. Now, if you really think about that, that'll hit home and that'll make sense. So God does not use power in those situations. He uses will. He uses time. He uses calculation. Okay, so that has nothing to do with power. And authority, we can scratch that right out because God gives us free will. So when you're looking for a man of power and authority, the only thing you should be looking for are the other two factors, not power and authority, but God's will versus Satan's will, because Satan got a will too. Because they both leave you little breadcrumbs, okay? They both leave little breadcrumbs to take you to the things that you're actually praying for. Okay, God's breadcrumbs. If you, let's just say you are a man and you are spiritually ready to receive a wife, then you will pray for that, and God will give you little clues and hints and breadcrumbs and lead you exactly to that woman or that place that you want to be in life. But the devil can also lead you, set breadcrumbs down to lead you elsewhere to a path. It all depends on the way you pray, because the way you pray will depend on the way that they answer, and it will depend on who answers. If you pray spiritually, God will answer it and lead you His way. If you pray the wrong way, even if you think you're praying spiritually, but it's wrong, the devil gonna lead you the other way. So that's the first mistake. You're looking for a man of power and authority. You're looking for this man with money, and you might be going against the very grain that God has in store for you. Number two, and I think this is the biggest one, how women quote this scripture over and over again. He who findeth a woman, a wife, finds a good thing and will obtain favor from the Lord. Now listen to that. He who findeth a wife, finds a good thing. How do you find anything? You find something because it is the man who is looking. He is trying to look for a wife. He's trying to find you. So when you get on your knees and you pray, okay, when you get on your knees and you pray, God, please send me a man. He got to have a fat bank account. He got to have a Benz. He got to have muscles, so on and so forth. Guess what? You're not praying a spiritual prayer. You're praying for a prayer that pleases the flesh. Therefore, God will not answer that prayer. Satan will. Oh, and he'll leave his breadcrumbs out for you to find that type of person. But guess what? Since it was not ordained by God, since you two are not spiritually in tune, when you get with that man and find exactly what you praying for, because I'm going to tell you two things going to happen. Either you're going to get that and you're going to be miserable, or you ain't going to find it at all and you're going to be miserable. So you better get yourself together, okay? Because you might not even be mentally or spiritually in tune with yourself to even be a wife. So don't quote that scripture unless you're ready to truly be a wife. That's another reason why you will not find a man, because you are not looking for the spiritual connection. You're looking for worldly gains that you're not going to be able to take with you. I just think that's a waste of prayer, and it's a waste of time. That you are rather pray and have your prayer answered by Satan to find a man who you plan on basically robbing blind. You're not putting yourself into position to be a wife. You have just put yourself into position to be a gold digger. So if you stop praying that way, most women who get married, they pray. They say, God, please send me someone who is going to love me and love you. We're going to grow spiritually in you. We're going to serve spiritually in you. We're going to become one and become spiritually one with you. Okay, now that's like 30% of women, because something like 70% of women in the church are single and will never find a husband or even a boyfriend. Okay, when you pray that kind of prayer, when you humble yourself, when you get on your knees, those are the prayers that God sets up a man and sets the breadcrumbs for that spiritual man who's ready for a wife to come and find you. Otherwise, the devil gonna answer that prayer. If you pray the opposite type of prayer, the devil gonna answer that prayer, throw his breadcrumbs out for you, and you're gonna be miserable. So you might want to rethink of how you pray and who you pray and what you're praying for, because you never know. That might be Satan answering your prayer. Number 3, when you keep telling a man that you have to be equally yoked, okay? You have to love Jesus. That's your deal breaker. First of all, when you first meet a man, okay, you don't know what his belief system is, okay? You trying to make demands on him before he can even get to know you. You got to go to my church. You got to just stop everything you're doing. We have to see the Bible exactly the same way. We have to hear the pastor exactly the same way. Or if he's at a different church, he must immediately uproot himself from his church, no matter how long he's been there, and come and join yours and immediately serve your pastor. Now, what slave man do you think is actually going to do that? Nobody. Being equally yoked has nothing to do with any of the above. Because even if you're at different churches, it's cool for you to go visit her church and support her in her church, and for her to come to your church and support you at your church. Especially if both of your pastors have messages that are make you grow spiritually, and you are spiritually fed to the point where you're full. You know, they both are beneficial to your spiritual growth. Then that's cool. Then if you decide to get married, you can sit down and decide your church arrangements at that point in time. But until then, you can't make somebody go somewhere and force them up out of their roots just because that's your definition of being equally yoked. The definition of being equally yoked is strictly in the spirit. When you are in tune with God spiritually, when the both of you look at God and God looking at you guys, in His eyes, you are both in tune. You are both spiritually ready. You're both spiritually ready for marriage. You're both spiritually ready for acceptance of Him. Then you are equally yoked. Equally yoked has nothing to do with anything else except the spirit, and the way that you feel the spirit, and the way that the both of you come together and are viewed in the eyes of God. So those 3 things are the things that are keeping most of our women from ever finding a man, and most never will find a man. You cannot idolize your pastor to the point where you want your man to be like him, okay? Because power and authority, if you don't find power and authority the way that when you're praying to God and finding a man of power and authority, you're going to find the other man of power and authority when God don't answer that prayer. And that power and authority, that assertive man that you find who's going to be powerful and authoritative, is going to be that thug. Because that's going to be the prayer that Satan answers. So before I get out of here, I want y'all all to know something too. When you pray for those earthly attributes and those material gains, you want him to have the money. You want him to have the Benz. You want him to have the dream house. You better remember something before you set yourself up, ladies. That's exactly what it is. His. Until next time, this your boy Mondo. I'm sorry this video is so lengthy, but I had to put this out there. So I'll holler at y'all later, and I hope y'all have a blessed night. Peace.